Crisp and sharp now, right? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about these ancient Maya and their calendar system, and I even prepared a script, so I don't run off on a tangent and talk until midnight. But I'm sure you wouldn't mind that, because learning about the Maya is always really, really cool, no matter what time it is. You can ask Kina; it helps keep graduate students and college students up all night anyway. Now, who in here has heard of the ancient Maya? Good, so most of you have heard of the Maya. Well, who were they? I mean, we are on this map ourselves here. This is the bottom half of North America, Central America, and the top half of South America. Most of my research is way down here in this little corner. But does anybody here know where we are today? You can find, right, just point. Good. You were pointing right here, weren't you? Right about there. That's where we are today. All right? The ancient Maya were down here in the Yucatan Peninsula, southern parts of Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, even a little bit into Nicaragua down here. So they're pretty far away from us. So this is where the Maya were. Well, who were the Maya? And of course, thanks to National Geographic, we get lots of really cool images of what we think the Maya looked like. This is probably one of the better images I've seen reconstructing what an ancient Maya city would have looked like in action. With the great Maya lord seated underneath his fan. You always know you're special when you get someone to hold a big old stick to keep the sun off of you. That's when you know you're special. Always bring your special favorite chocolate drink here. And by the way, your kids, that's what the Maya lord is drinking. Hot chocolate. They knew what was going on. And you can see the city is painted beautiful red and white on these giant pyramids right here. This is what the Maya would have looked like at the height of their civilization. Nowadays, this is about all we have left of most of the Maya cities that were spread out across southern Mexico and Guatemala. This is a Maya pyramid that hasn't been excavated yet by archaeologists. This is what most of them looked like before we began clearing them off to uncover this ancient splendor. And just like even though the Maya cities aren't what they used to be, the Maya themselves still are. Here I am with an elderly Maya gentleman in Yucatan near a little town called Oshputskab. And of course I'm a giant, I'm 9 feet tall. The Maya are just an average height, like most of y'all up here in the front row. Just perfectly average, normal height. But you can see the Maya are still here. The Maya are still in the Maya lands, even though their civilization doesn't look like it used to look a long time ago, like these great Maya cities in their day. Now, if you look at these ancient cities, you will notice as you walk through them or as you look at artifacts we get from them from the museums, that they put pictures on almost everything they made. And you can't really see it that well, but they put patterns on all their textiles, of course. And they put inscriptions on all of their monuments and pictures on all their monuments. Here's a pyramid from a site called Copan. This is a very famous staircase called the hieroglyphic staircase. And this is again a reconstruction drawing though. And this is what it looks like today after they cleaned off the pyramid. I know it's hard to see, but every one of those steps is covered with writing all the way up. This is the longest Maya inscription known to us. And this is what it would have looked like in its day. Nothing but writing all the way across all these steps, and statues showing captives that the Maya lords would have taken in warfare, with the Maya lord standing down in front of them and a giant snarling fanged mouth opening up at the bottom of the pyramid, ready to suck you into the underworld. Shibalba. They had really cool names for everything. And this is just an example of where the Maya would put their writing and their numbering system. Other examples include the ceramic vessels that they used to eat and drink with. This is a cacao or a chocolate cup. This is what they would have drank their chocolate with. And somewhere on here it says I am the cup that belongs to Dr. Morales for him to drink his really good chocolate, which is all right by me. And this is actually a lintel. It's a big piece of stone from a building. And on this, instead of painted writing, we see engraved hieroglyphs, these Maya hieroglyphs. And I'll just call them glyphs all night long. But this is their writing. So they would use pictures in combination with text, like a lot of the books you see today, like our newspapers today, like a lot of our monuments today, where we have a picture to show us what's going on, and then a little bit of text to sort of fill in the details. And this is what the Maya did. Like here, we have this great Maya lord, and some guy sitting down sucking his thumb. Oh, no, wait, he's just holding his hand in front of his mouth. That means he surrenders. He's a captive, you see. Or he's saying, give me some of that good chocolate, man. And instead he's going to get this, that big spear. But we know this because the Maya told us, and they told us in their writing. And they love to write on everything. And one of the things that inspired them the most were the rhythmic cycles of time, of how we can watch the various cycles in nature, and we can recognize the patterns and the repeating cycles. And from that, we can create a calendar. And this is where it starts to get a little intense here with the Maya calendar. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Chances are you've heard many theories concerning this Maya calendar, specifically the predictions it makes about the end of the world. You gave me a mic, and I'm going to use it. Well, I'm going to try to, and I know everybody came here with their calculators ready to do math during summer vacation, right? No. It's on my phone. He said this was an art talk, not math. As Keena will tell you, math is a wonderful part of art history, isn't it, Keena? And I'm going to make this as simple as possible, and none of you will have to do the math yourself, because I've done it for you. Now, the Maya had different types of calendars. In other words, when we say calendar, all we really mean when we say calendar is that they had different methods of describing periods of time. Now, everybody in here knows a lot of different methods for describing time, not just our calendar. Who in here has been through the 4th grade? Okay, the 4th grade. I just said the 4th grade. I didn't say 2012 or 1979. I just said the 4th grade, right? And a bunch of you knew exactly what time period I was talking about without using a year. I just said the 4th grade. Who can't wait to get out of school? I'm talking about another period of time. Who can't wait to go to college later? Okay, that's an even longer period of time. Well, actually, it's not longer, it's shorter. It just feels longer, doesn't it? Well, you see, we talk about our school age, or going to school, the 1st through the 12th grade. That's a period of time. That's just a measurement we use to tell time. The Maya used a lot of different methods for telling time. And it all comes down to really just counting days. Who's getting ready to go on a trip soon? How many days away is your trip? But just make it about 15 days, right? Tomorrow it'll be 14 days. The next day it'll be 13 days. You see, we're just counting down the days to your trip. We're not counting down. We should stay. But I'm sure you're counting down the days. Well, that's all the Maya calendars do, is to count down the numbers of days. One of the ways that they did this was through a calendar that lasted about 260 days, which is really about the time it takes for the gestation of a human baby. Now, this one calendar was devised by the Maya by using 13 numbers and combining those numbers with 20 individual day names. We don't have day names, so this is kind of hard to understand for us. But, for example, the day name Imish would be paired with the number 1 until you go 1 Imish, 2 Eep, 3 Akbal, 4 Ken, 5 Chichan, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Uh-oh, we haven't run out of day names yet, have we? But we've run out of numbers. So we start back here with 1. And it will be 1 Eeks, 2 Men, 3 Seed, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then back to 1 again. So you can see with a different number of day names and a different number of numbers, we repeat these over and over until we come right back to 1 Emish. And that takes 260 days for these wheels to come back to that same point. What this does is it just gives us 260 unique day names. Where if I said 1 Emish, you would know exactly what day that is in that 260-day cycle. We don't use a 260-day calendar, so this seems very odd to us. We use, what kind of calendar, how many days are in our calendar? How many?
365.
4 million and what?
365.
Oh, 365. Okay, I was going to say, if it's 4 million, then I'm only like 1 year old. 365. What is it, when we say 365 days in our year, what do we mean by a year then? What is a year?
The amount of time it takes for the planet to travel once around the sun.
Right. It's the time it takes for the sun to travel around the earth one time, right? No. It's the other way around there. What we mean is, every June 12th, the sun will be about the same spot in the sky, right? Next year, June 12th, the sun will be right there in the same spot. In September 12th, the sun won't be up there. The sun will be over here somewhere. What that calendar does, all that is counting the days that it takes for that one pattern. The sun, the earth going around the sun. Well, the Maya had a calendar for that as well. Oh, here's another little picture for you, showing you the Maya numbering system. We'll get back to this because this is the real fun part. And then all the different pictures or glyphs that can be used to describe each one of those months. And we'll come back to how they mark 0 and 1 and 4 and 6 in just a minute, but I think you get an idea for it here. Now, that first calendar, we just call it the almanac or the ritual calendar. They use another calendar system that's closer to ours, and it measures the passage of the sun through the sky. They use 18 months with 20 day names. It's more math, but take my word for it. If you multiply 20 by 18, you get
360.
360. Good, you did it in your head. Wonderful. And so that's 18 months with 20 days each. That gives us 360 days, and that's a full year, right? No, it's not. We need 5 more days, don't we? So they have this special month that they keep down here because it's not a very nice month. It's called the Wayeb. And I don't know exactly what that translates as, but you might as well think of it as the really scary 5-day month. So when you say it, you can't just say Wayeb, you have to say Wayeb. 360 happy days and 5 days of Wayeb. Well, that gives us our solar calendar. Now, they do the same thing with certain number names and certain day names so that we can come up with these unique days in this 365-day calendar. So there are the 2 main Maya calendar systems. One that measures a 260-day period of time, and one that measures a 365 period time. Now, that's only a year. And what we're really concerned about throughout all this is counting days, the number of days it takes until something happens. If you want to talk about an event that occurs more than a year away, you have to come up with another way of describing this moment in the future or a moment in the past that's more than 365 days away. And this is where it starts to get really wonderfully complex. Because what the Maya did was they then combined those 2 calendars. And if you take 260 days and multiply it by 365 days, you get, I don't know, that's like 1 million something. 52 years worth of days. 52 years where the same day name won't occur twice. So we have one calendar that has a unique day name for every 260 days, then it repeats those same names, right? And then we have another calendar, like ours, that uses up 365 day names before it starts repeating. You know, today's June 12th, right? 1999, right?
No.
Huh? What? Well, that spoils my plans, because tonight I was going to party like it's 1999. Thank you. 3 people got that. Great.
I'm not cool.
Well, wait a minute. What if I was a year late for this talk? I told Keena I'd be here on June 12th. What if I meant 2013? You see. So what happens is if we take 260 unique day names and then combine them, this is why I want to build this, kind of show you how this is turning around, giving you the 260 unique day names, whereas here we have the 365 unique day names. If you mesh those 2 calendars together to where you have 1 Imish 2 Bakab, for example, that unique day, if you multiply 260 days by 365 days, that unique day won't occur again for another 52 years. So if I told Keena I would be here on this day, that either means I'd be here on this day or I'd be here on this day 52 years in the future. And in 52 years, I'll be 170. So I know that can't be right. It is math, isn't it? This is supposed to be a math lecture, isn't it? It's like, math, doing all this multiplication. Okay. But that's all that we're talking about here is coming up with a name for a unique day. So I can say, we might say on Tuesday, June 12th, 2012, I'll be giving a lecture, right? I could say Tuesday, June 12th. But there's been a Tuesday, June 12th, like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and 3 or 4 years in the future. By adding the year 2012, all we're doing is we're using another numbering system to talk about one particular day. And that's all that we're here to talk about today, is just one day at a time, counting the number of days. And with this really complex calendar that the Maya developed, they could give a unique name for every single day for 52 years. What that means is, because most people didn't live 50 years at this time. Most people died young, like me, in their 20s. So what that means is, in most people's lifetime, you would never repeat a day name. You could just name a day, and that will mark a period in your life that would never repeat again. Now, can you see how simple that would be? I can just give you one date, and that'll tell you exactly. Tuesday, June 12th, 2012. That's the complexity of the Maya calendar. And it's based on just observing a couple different patterns. One, the pattern of the sun in the sky, and this other 260-day pattern. We're not really sure what that was based on. It could be the growing season of a crop or the growing season of a human embryo. So this is where we are entering now how to count with this system. Oh boy, it gets started nice and complex. And here's just another way of looking at it, where you might have the day 1 Con, 2 Pope, and then 2 Chichon, 3 Pope, 3 Simi, 4 Pope, and these 2 patterns would go around and around and around until you get back to 1 Con, 2 Pope, but that wouldn't happen for 52 years. Now, what happens at the end of 52 years?
It begins.
It just begins again, doesn't it? Little Rock doesn't burn to the ground, right? California doesn't break off and float into the ocean. The sun doesn't stop, right? Cars don't break down. YouTube doesn't go away. It just starts the calendar all over again, right? For another 52-year cycle of unique days. Well, this is what we call the Maya long count, because it has an individual. I can't even think of how many days are in 260 times 365. I really
94,400.
94,400 unique days.
That's 260 years.
About a chunk of time. Now, that is the Maya long count. And the way that the Maya would give us dates This is the Maya counting system that lasts for 52 years. Now, another way that the Maya would give us dates was, instead of just referring to those two calendars we talked about, they will just give you a number. Like, oh, I don't know, 1,414,230. But then they give you a starting date, which is, in fact, August 11th, 3114 BC. And this is the date that the Maya used for the beginning of this long count calendar. And what I mean by long count, all that really means is they're counting every single day since August 11th, 3114 BC. That's a long time ago. So, and it would be pretty difficult for us to figure out what day 95,372 was. We might have to use another way of naming that day, and that's what we would revert to the other calendars for. But this is the measuring system we're here to talk about tonight, and it's just about counting days. And it is called the long count because it begins on August 11th, 3114 BC, and when does it end?
December 21st, 2012.
Thank you, Google Images. December 21st, 2112.
2112.
2012. It's 100 years here. I'm so thrown off because LA is supposed to fall into the sea, but what a shame since they just won the Stanley Cup, right? Which is probably a sign that everything's getting ready to end.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Right. Yeah, that end date is December 21st, 2012. 6 months from now. Well, what that means is this calendar has enough days to fill up
5,000 years.
about 5,000 years. In fact, it actually has more days. I'll get to it at the very, very end of this talk. If we look at how we write down these long count dates, we just give a series of 5 numbers. And you can see 00000 is the first day, August 11, 3114. If we get down to 130000, that is December 21st, 2012. Now, each of these places, we put a decimal spot here. You guys are all familiar with your decimal spots, right? Decimal points?
Yeah.
When you get up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, what comes next?
10.
10, which is 0, and then a 1, the next place over, right? And then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,
100.
another 0, and you move over a spot for that 1. You see how I'm moving over 1 space for every 10s? Well, in this counting system, you have to go up to 20 before you move over to a space. And the visual that I thought of, obviously too late, was to come up with big egg cartons that would hold 20 eggs. And just say, that's 1 egg carton, that's 20 eggs, so that's 1 unit. Now we'll move on to the next place. So we count 18, 19, when we get to 20, we move over another place. Count up to 20 again, 20 units, move a place. 20 units, move a place. Although, I could throw a little monkey wrench in here. One of these units is only 18. It starts to get difficult here. But all we're doing is counting, and it gives us a huge number. And this number equals just the number of days since August 11th, 3114 BC. So this is a long count. And that's a typical way a long count is written. In fact, it's a very famous long count that is one of the earliest long counts we actually have on one of these monuments where they actually put a date. So what does that 7, 16, 3, 2, 13 mean? Well, the first place, and it would have a number, a Maya number, and then one of these glyphs. The first place would be what's called a Baktun. So we would have this glyph and then a number. And a Baktun equals 144,000 days. That's a chunk of days. The next number over, the 16 here, would be a Katun, which is only 7,200 days. And then the next number is a tune, which is 360 days. That's almost that solar calendar, isn't it? And then the next number is a winal, which is 20 days. And then the last number is a keen, and a keen is 1 day. All we're doing is counting days. So if we want to look at this long count date, 7, 16, 3, 2, 13, we would know that 7 times 144,000, 16 times 7,200, 3 times 360, 2 times 20, and 13 times 1, which is, right, it's a pile of days. But that's all they're doing, is just counting the number of days. And in fact, that long count date comes from a big carved stone. You can see the dots and the bars right here for the numbers, from a site called Chiapa de Corzo. And that date, 7, 16, 3, 2, 13, is the number of days since August 11th, 3114, until December 9th, 36 BC. Just after Julius Caesar had caught a bad case of assassination and wasn't doing much anymore. Much like a lot of our dead musicians, like Beethoven, they're no longer composing, they're just decomposing. So, this long count, this is where it starts getting scary, well, just because it's a lot of math. But it's because it can count up a huge chunk of time. And we're not measuring months or years, we're just counting days. And our starting point is August 11th, 3114 BC, which is when I was born. So, here are some more examples. I showed you carved monuments and I showed you some pottery vessels. These are some of the books that were left behind that weren't burned when the Europeans first came over. And some of these books include unbelievable days and calendars, and you can see all of these glyphs in here, and the glyphs are stacked up next to these bar and dot patterns. These are all calendric associations. These are all dates, in other words. These are examples of the calendars. Now, we keep talking about this bar and dot system. This is where we're going to learn to count like a Maya, all right? So, let's get this going. It's not a decimal system, because deci comes from the Latin for 10, right? Decimal, like decimate, when you kill 1/10. This is a vigesimal system, which is based on 20, not 10. So you have to use all of your fingers and all of my toes. And if you have your own toes, you can use those. And there are just three little marks you have to learn for this. One is the shell. And it's a shell. Just think about it. It's a shell. The shell means
0.
0. And do you know that the Maya were only one of maybe 2 civilizations in the history of the world to come up with the concept of 0? The others were the ancient Indus River Valley civilizations who gave us the Vedic text and eventually Hindu. They came up with the Romans, the Greeks, the great people we blame for all of our math classes. They didn't have 0. In other words, they didn't have nothing. I just keep it up. Okay, anyway. I said that in the library. I just said they didn't have nothing in a library. That's scary. Might want to turn the lights back on now. Anyway, so that's the symbol that means 0. So let's all count up to 0. All right, we're done. Here we have the dot. The dot is a ones place. So if you see 1 dot, that's how many?
1.
1.
Wow, we're really burning this up now. See, I told you the math is very, very simple. So how many is that?
4.
4. You guys are counting just like a Maya. Very, very good. Now,
6.
all right, here, you can do lecture. That's pretty good. Right, the bar means 5. So if you see a bar, that's 5. And when they write them, they stack them up like this. They stack the numbers up. We write like this. They stack the numbers up. So if you see a bar and a dot, you guys already know. How many is that?
6.
A bar and a dot.
Yeah, that's the 1. That's the 5. This guy up here in the front will help you check your math at the end. Good. Yes, that's 6. All right, you ready now? It gets a little bit more intense now.
14.
How did you know? You guys are so good. That's a really good guess.
19. 19.
19.
Everybody think 19's right?
19.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 3 times 5 and 4 times whatever that is. 19! Three! I'm afraid.
Well,
Yes, that's 19. Good. All right, you're gonna have some fun now.
well, if you said that each bar equals 5, then just count by your 5s with the bars, and then just count the dots.
Bingo. Now, what you just said is very important. You said just count by 5s for your bars. And everybody in here can count by 5s, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25,
30.
You see there? Now, and everybody knows how to count by 1s, right? 1, 2, 3. See there? Okay. And you know how to count by 10s, right? 10, 20,
30.
There's an art historian back there. Drop the rocket science minor. What about counting by 20s? 20, 40,
60.
Sure. Well, that's fuzzy math.
Well, basically, all you're doing is doubling.
That's right. That's right. Now, what happens, you see, when we say count by 20s, that means that every time you get to 20, you go to a new space. When we do our numbers, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Right, so every 10, you start a new place. Now you have to count by 20s. And instead of putting a number side by side, we're going to stack them up.
Wouldn't that mean 10?
By 20s. Look at this first, okay? So here's your first place, and what's that value?
0.
0. Now we have to count by 20s. How many 20s do we have?
1.
20s. So how much is this? What is this number?
20.
You guys are perfectly right. Now you're accounting in what's called a decimal system. If you can even say that.
The decimal.
Whoa. Very good. That's twice of a decimal system. So this second place is the 20s place. Here's the 1s place. Here's the 20s place. So how many 1s do we have?
0. That's
0 1s. And how many 20s?
1.
1, which equals?
20.
That's got it. Good.
Oh,
All
I get it.
right, let's get a little harder now. How many 1s do we have?
15.
15. How many 20s do we have?
2.
Okay. What are 2 20s?
40.
40. 40 plus?
5.
15.
40 plus 15 is?
55.
55. Now you're counting like a Maya into the decimal system. All right. This is how many 20s we have. What's that number right there?
5, 10.
12.
12. What's 12 20s? 12 times 20?
240.
240.
Okay, good. I'll take your word for that. How many 1s do we have?
4.
9.
No, 9.
9 1s, which equals
249.
249.
Oh, you got that.
Whose brain's about to explode yet?
Mine.
Okay. that's why you're giving all your answers to these guys up here. You're doing it like telepathy, aren't you? Answer. Do them. See his head up like explode. Very, very good. You see, we're counting 20s, and then we're counting the 1s. Oh,
5, 10.
What the?
what the? She can eat some?
Wait a minute. If you double those and those equals to 20, what if are those like the?
That's 20 20s.
Yeah.
What's 20 times 20?
300.
400. So these are the 400 places. These are the 1s, these are the 20s, and these are the 400s. How many 400s do we have?
2.
800.
800. How many 20s do we have?
0.
0. How many 1s do we have?
19.
19.
Which equals?
419.
819, because if those equal,
Also-
if that's 800, then just add 19 to it.
Kina, they're getting this better than my Mesoamerican class at UCA.
So those are the ones.
The 1s, the 20s, and the 400s. Yeah, you see?
I don't get it.
When we count in the decimal system, we multiply by 10 every step.
Yes.
In the decimal system, we multiply by 20 every step.
Alright.
Good. All right, what's that?
This is awesome.
Okay, so
That's 20.
800.
What's 20 times 400?
Huh?
What?
20 times 4.
Oh.
See, these are the 400s. We go up about 20 of these, we have to move up to a new level. 20 times 400 is?
Use your phone, bro. 900?
He's got that.
I'll say 2,000.
Well, all you have to do is do 2 times 4.
Which is?
8.
8, and then put all those zeros and you get?
8,000.
8,000. This is the 8,000s place. That dot means 1 8,000. That's another 8,000. That's another 8,000. And that's 5 8,000. So here we have, are you ready now? Because you can do this in your head.
Yeah.
You have 9 times 8,000, 0 times 400, 3 times 20 plus 3 equals?
62,000.
Yeah, 62,000.
63.
Not bad, you were getting really close. 72,063. Now, if this was stacked up as a date and a long count on a Maya monument, that would mean that it's what? 72,063 days since
The start of the count.
August 11th.
3114 BC. That's all they're doing with all this counting system, is that they're counting the number of days. But because they use the vigesimal system instead of a decimal system, they can write much bigger numbers in less space. So it's more efficient than our numbering system. That's it. So now you know how to count like a Maya.
Bread. Bread.
Question.
Now that you know how to count like all of this, let's look again now at that same old long count date I gave you earlier, 7, 16, 3, 2, 13. Again, I told you that is from a monument. This is a big slab of stone stuck in the ground at a site called Chiapa de Corzo. And it tells us, it gives us a date of December 9th, 36 BC. And the way it gives us that is that it has 7, 16, 3, 2, 13. That's the number of days it takes to go from August 11th, 3114 BC up to December 9th, 36 BC. This is the earliest long count date we have for the Maya. In other words, this is the oldest date. Let me be very clear on this. This monument is telling us about something that happened in 36 BC. This is the oldest event that we found recorded by the ancient Maya. That doesn't mean they didn't do anything before that. It's just that we haven't found the monument where they wrote this down. Here's another long count date. This is from a site of Tres Zapotes. And here on the back you can see a series of long count dates. You see 7, 16, 6, 16, 18. And that long count date with the what's called an introduction glyph. That little squiggle right there, let me show you again. Go back. Right there. That's the introduction glyph. The introduction glyph means get out their smartphone, we're going to be doing math. The introduction glyph means these numbers that come next, these next 5 numbers, are going to be a long count date. So what you see here at Tres Zapotes is as we're reading down this line, it says, uh-oh, get ready for a long count date. Boop, 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 and that gives us someday in 32 BC. Here's a site called Tonina, and at this ancient Maya city of Tonina, we found a monument with a date inscribed on it of 10-4000. This is a cool date. This is the year January 15th, 909. This is what? This is about 100 years before the Norman invasion of England. This is the late Middle Ages for Europe. This is in the downfall of the Carolingian Empire when Henry I of Germany. Oh, we don't hear that. So what you see right here is this is the youngest long count date, or the most recent long count date. So between about 36 BC and AD 909, the Maya are using this long count to define their days.
So basically 909 is the year?
That's our year. That's how we would write it. January 15th, 909.
So it's been 909 years since.
Oh, no, no, no. No, this is our calendar. That's 909 years.
Since Christ.
Something. You're right, the birth of Jesus. Because we use a Christian calendar. No, what this is saying is that it's 10 Baktun, 4 Katun, 0 Tun, etc. since August 11, 3114 BC. Now, look what's interesting here. This is a Katun ending date, meaning that by the time this date comes, this goes all the way to 20, and then it clicks over. We start counting here. That goes up to 18. Then that clicks over to back to 0. This number goes up to 20, and then it goes back to 0 before this one goes from 3 to 4. In other words, the day before this, January 14th, 909, this would have said 10, 3, 19, 18, 17, 19. In other words, in counting up all these numbers, on one particular day, January 15th, 909, that long count clicked over several different places full of zeros. You see that? I'm sure you've all seen this on your car, right? Where your odometer in your car goes up to like 2 zeros or 3 zeros or 4 zeros, or if you're really lucky, 5 zeros.
So why did the Mayans, okay, basically the Mayans were just here to predict the futures?
No. They're just counting days.
I know, but, you know, the Mayan calendar is supposedly telling us the future of the end.
No, it's not telling us what's going to happen in the future. What they're able to say is, in 100 years, we'll have the 100th anniversary of this king's birth. And we know that date. I can give you the date in 100 years.
No,
we can do it, but what they can also predict are the movements of the stars and the placement of the sun. And because their calendar is so precise, because they can give a number for every day over the span of 5,000 years, they can tell you the exact day when the next eclipse would be. They can tell you the exact day when Venus, Jupiter, and Mars will all align. They can tell you the next day when a lunar eclipse will be. They can tell you what day 5 or 6 planets will align. Now, when those kind of things start happening, people start getting scared, because that's when we're pretty sure that LA will fall into the sea and education will become free and all these, these world-ending events. I didn't make a comment at all about a woman president. All right, so we'll just have to wait. So this is the most recent long count date. These are the places where we find long count dates being used. So this is the only part of Mesoamerica that we're using these long count dates. No other, like the Aztecs who are living over here, they didn't use it. They used something similar to this, but we only see the long count dates being written down here in the Maya region. Now, here is a monument that's given a lot of people great things to make Facebook posts about and to make scary movies about. This is a monument from the site called Tortuguero. And again, it's a stone slab that was horribly ruined by the looters, archaeologists who were excavating it. This is a drawing showing you all the different glyphs that would be on here. But if you see here, there is actually a series of numbers. A series of numbers. Hand. Here we go. Let's see here. There's 9. There are. What you can see the dots. Everybody see the 4 dots here?
Yeah. And
the 2 bars and the 3 dots. Well, there is a number here on this Tortuguero monument that is. Oh, I should have put the number up there for you. I should have highlighted it so I could see it easier here. I wish I knew what the first one was. Oh, I didn't write down the. Yeah, of course. Silly me. 444. Should be a 0 in here somewhere. Yeah, I can't. Anyway, I should have written down what date this is, but there's a date given on here, and I think this is where it begins, with this right here. And that's how many bars?
2.
2 bars and 3 dots, which is what number?
18.
13. This is the long count date, 13,000,000. This is the turning of the 13th Baktun. And this is one monument. This is, in fact, the only Maya monument we know of to give us the date 13,000. And you know, the more zeros, the cooler the number looks, right? And 13,000 is the 21st of December 2012. This is the monument that gives us the December 21st, 2012 date. This monument is unique in many ways. There are some weird words in here. But what makes it most unique is that it gives us this particular date. Now, is that date important?
Yeah.
Maybe.
If it's so important, then how come they only put it on one monument?
Did they try to hide it?
They didn't hide anything else.
Maybe-
They like to show off how they could tell the future. You know, we have other monuments. There is a monument at Palenque, in fact, that has a date of 4772, which is still 2,000 and some years in our future.
Isn't it one of 2023 or something like that?
Oh, there's tons, yeah, there are tons of dates that go beyond 2012. You know, if this is really a prediction about something that's going to happen today, on December 21st, 2012, a lot of folks would think that the Maya could see the future. But Bill Saturno, who excavated a site called San Bartolo, he made a really good point. He's like, wow, the Maya were so good about seeing the future. How come they couldn't see the coming of the Spanish? So it's not so much about telling us, predicting events that are going to happen in the future, as simply saying, on this day in the future, something will happen. It'll be the eclipse of the moon at the same time that Venus and Jupiter are side by side, which will be the 5,000th anniversary of King Yashbalam's ascension to the throne, wherever Yashbalam was. Now, these last glyphs down here are the ones that give us some of these dates. And this is from Mark Van Stone's book. A lot of the information I'm giving you is from Mark Van Stone's. These glyphs counted ahead from the date in the 600s to our time. Sometime in the 7th century, 1,330 years ago, they were saying something is going to happen on 13,000. That's, I can't remember how many days that is. That's a certain number of days since August 11, 3114 BC. And the rest of these glyphs say something like some minor deity named Nine Okte will perform some kind of ceremony. And then it says something about he will be displayed in the great impersonation of some other god doing something. It's horribly chipped off right here, and it's kind of enigmatic in that regard. But it just says that on some day somebody's going to do something. And it doesn't call for the end of the world. It's probably something like, oh, he'll take a bath and wash his hair, you know, go out and do some shopping, and, you know, maybe take a glance at Venus transiting the sun. Something important like that. Here is, and in fact, I think the best thing it can say, let's say, here's another date. These are two dates from two different sources. This is painted on a vessel. The one on the left is painted on a vessel. The one on the right is engraved on a stele. These have a very ancient date. This portrays a mythical battle between God El and the lunar rabbit who was on the side of the sun god. It doesn't say anything about the end of the world in 2012, but it does give us the precise dates of this ancient battle. And it's tens of thousands of years ago. It's way back before 3114 BC. So you see that period of time between 3114 and 2012, it's not the beginning and the end of the world. It's just one of these units of time we discuss. they do discuss things that happened a long time ago. For example, here it says on 13 oak 18 whoa, 13, say 5, 10, 1, 2, 3, 13 oak 18 whoa. The big white bone house centipede, the companion spirit of Ka'awil, was ninefold in power. He oversaw it. The Ba'olon Okte God. It happened in the north. I have no idea what that means. But that's what it says. It just gives us these events that happened at a certain point in time. And that date is not is something very far in the past. Here is that inscription that you'll see right here, along with another series of inscriptions on this monument with the people doing something in it. And these are a series of events that talk about other events in the past and events in the future. If you can imagine a president being inaugurated and slipping in a quote from Abraham Lincoln, right? And then saying something about your children's children. I'm going to be the new Lincoln to ensure that your grandchildren will have a better future. You see, this is one person at one event talking about not only something that's happening today, but something that happened in the distant past and something that will happen in the distant future. And that's how the Maya would write on these monuments. But they were able to give us specific days in that past, in the deep past, and also in the deep future here. So now to read what I can of this inscription that comes down here and comes across, I will read what I can. Chan il yash cha winiki yihi uunha waka ahau waka te chaka et ushla winikaha. Iuchaak ib ikatlash uhuntan kiinich kaan balam kuul baakal ahal.
What does that mean?
Pretty cool, isn't it? I know it's not. 4 and 12 score days in 1 year before 8 Aha, the 8th Chakat, when the 13th Katun will occur. Then happens Tukib, when the precious ones of Kinich Khan Balam, the holy Bakal Lord, is fashioned. So that's what that monument says.